Ah, the fallen tree bridge. You see, the thing about this one, it really is a common sense test. Any of the characters could have rushed across that bridge really quickly and just left their fate to the dice. Well, in the end, they kind of did end up doing that, sort of. But if any of them would have fallen and then failed the strength test to try and keep grip, well, it would have been kind of their own fault because they didn't take any precautions. One of the things the book suggests is maybe trying to take a rope across, the first person that goes across, and maybe tying it off, and that decreases the difficulty of the test, and that sort of thing. You can use sense and logic to bring things to your advantage a bit more, but I think they were going a bit off track there, and that was one of my concerns, where they're talking about getting another tree instead and all that sort of thing. It's just wasting time, and if they'd have pursued that too heavily, well, then I would have imposed more difficulties on the time constraints that exist against the group that they don't know about yet, that will affect the ending potentially. Yes, as for the chopping the tree down, rather than asking me, oh well, how did we do it last time? Well, to be honest, yeah, I can't really give them an answer how they managed to do it last time. It's session 1. But they should just consider that a bonus, I suppose. Maybe someone had an axe to hand, and this time there is no axe to hand or something. None of them have one on them and such. So, they're talking about using their weapons and stuff to try and hack the trees. If someone really would have wanted to do that, they're probably going to ruin their weapon and have a minus damage on the thing until they can get it to a smithy for repair. Well, the only smithy is an idiot back in the village, isn't it, after all, Kylan? But yeah, you see that sort of thing. The other thing was when one of the players tried undermining me and saying, oh, well, actually, no, are you sure it's -2 for long range? Well, I did turn out to be right. My call was correct, but because in the heat of the game, he made me start to actually doubt myself. So you should only really be calling up on your GM if you know what the hell you are talking about, not being a fool, and start debating rules that you've gone over before and you have been told already. But there it is. Sometimes the GM screen could be a little bit more helpful, because sometimes you're left looking at it and you're thinking, help me, where is it? Oh, it must be on there somewhere. It's just spaghetti. Now, as an addendum to tag on to this video, I would like to make a few other points that I've just thought of upon consideration of viewing the footage. So, firstly, the usage of a whiteboard was really, really good here, I found, because being able to track the birds or anything in just general sort of things, but in this case the birds' health. And what I'm doing is I'm leaving a pen out there and just putting the health of the birds right up, just drawing it right up next to where it's placed, and then you can knock it straight off, the actual current health amount. And I suppose there'd be a school of thought that could argue against this and say, well, it kind of breaks the immersion if you have numbers next to the enemy there. But consider that this group is a bunch of computer gamers, primarily MMO players anyway, so they really appreciate the sort of party get-together instance play feel. But also, consider this, if you don't have something like that, then you are kind of left unimmersed as well. I can counter that point, because you don't know who is the most hurt, because you can't put like a state of damage that's like visibly recognisable. People don't go to the efforts of writing heavily fatigued, looks close to death or something stupid like that. Whereas if you can see those numbers, you can like conjure the state they are in. If they started on 30 health and they've got 5 health left, you can think, oh, if you're thinking about hit points, then yeah, they're looking really, really worn out, and they look like they can't take much more, or set to collapse soon or whatever. Or if you're considering it as damage, then yeah, he's got a couple of nasty wounds on him. If you don't know that, then you don't know like who tactically to gang up on to try and finish off. And to be honest, if you were there really, to the argument of immersion, then you would know, oh, he looks in a bad way, let's try and finish this one off so that there's one less of them. You would be able to pick your targets logically. So anyway, the whiteboard is what I'm trying to say is really nice for that, because you can just record the results straight on it, and if really need be, just rub it off if they move position and put it to a new place wherever they move to. Another thing I'm just going to say here for the for the sake of the player involved, is Pete, who's sitting over on the right of the frame. You will see that he's a bit out of it. He's not very well during this session, and he's on some very, very strong medication. He's practically going to sleep at some point, so that's why I've sort of seemed to keep trying to relate what's happening back to him, so he understands. You know, he's just having a very bad way of it. So, you know, that's why. The actual battle against the Blood Crows, you'll notice I handled it in a very narrative way. That was my decision. It gets a bit clunky, the flight rules and different things like this, and essentially the birds are just there to pretty much just dive bomb and pressure them as they're trying to, the party as they're trying to cross this bridge. And I thought it's going to get awful clunky. There's 8 birds, more are going to be able to possibly come eventually as reinforcements, and there's 5 party to track. That's an awful lot of things to try and track all at once, initiative-wise, and it's just birds, you know. It doesn't feel fun, so I decided not to do it. I decided to play the whole thing loose and narratively, yet it's combat as well. I don't know, you can see there that I'm having to make some people wait and then just picking this kind of narrative order and saying, oh, well, now you're doing it, but the birds also do this as you're doing that, and you know, I'm just playing it very, very loose, playing it completely by ear, and I think it worked out really, to try and force them to encounter the danger and risk falling off, to try and come up with a plan quicker. However, what it also did is it served to confuse at least one of the players, because he didn't understand why his model looked like it was near the edge of the bridge and then still couldn't get off it. And he was saying, oh look, you know, I would have been able to get off by now, and I tried, and then I was forced to have to explain the mechanics, because he actually got quite shitty with me, so I just explained the mechanics of the situation then to defuse him, and I'd rather not done it. I'd have rather just, you know, let the, you know, it's a bit like explaining a magic trick, you know, let the illusion there continue. But you know, he, as you can see, he actually shouted at me.
Make your bloody mind up, but you said I was on the edge of it the last time.
Yeah, she's right on the edge now.
This player does have a tendency towards doing that anyway.
Okay. Am I over yet?
No. It can't be nearly.
Oh, now you're just fucking taking the piss.
You'll also see that I get pissed off in return, and I don't suffer things like that gladly. And well, frankly, if you're going to do that in my game, then it's not an idle threat. You know, if you persist in doing that, I'm going to deduct experience for the entire group, because as a GM, you are ruining my fun if you behave like that, and I'll punish you for doing that. I will. But then I'm saying, oh, surely I would have been able to get off the tree now. Well, yeah, I tried explaining. Oh, yeah, it's very, very mossy. So you know, you're kicking it off as you go, but it's extremely bad. Now, if it was very, very slippery at the extreme very end, then why is he saying, well, of course it wouldn't be like that? Why not? Why not? Why wouldn't you be frightened to traverse anymore and just be inching bit by bit, because it is that wet and slippery, just literally that bad at the very, very end for him? Why not? Why not? Why not? Why not? You could find yourself there, right, in real life, with your own life on the line, and I could come along and say, oh, I thought you said this couldn't happen. Go on, hurry up. You say, no, really, I might fall. It's like, yeah, because it's your real life. Why can't you role play the possibility of that actually being able to happen? Sorry, see. I think it's something about the player in particular, the tone of voice that just gets into my head like a dagger through my brain, and it's the sound of it. And it's not, it doesn't put me in a happy, calm place to be able to GM. It's like, it's, you know, when you got like particular personalities that can just strike through you and make you a bit crazy. That's mine. That's like a hot poker in the ear, that one. I'm trying to run the thing in such a relaxed way, and just it's narrative, and just, you know, a mature, relaxed atmosphere. And you know, in the case of something being missed or forgotten, it's saying, meh, okay, well, it's there now, so it's self-evidencing, even if it is missed. It's like, Okay, you didn't understand what I was trying to suggest with the dog, and he's got to the other side now, but meh, he's there anyway. I'm not going to mess around with do-overs. The dog got there somehow, you know. He got lucky, he got there. I'm GM, I say that the dog got there, you know. It's, you know, balls to you. As the GM, whatever you say is self-evidencing. Really. You say, oh, the planet's just turned into a pineapple. It really happened because the GM said it. It's self-evidencing. So, then, you know. But, you know what I mean. That's kind of the extreme. But what I'm getting at here is I like a very relaxed atmosphere. And if someone's trying to be counter to that, then it's going to upset. Well, anyway, aside from the different personalities at play in a group, and this is obviously one of the things you do have to deal with, we continued on past the bridge where they found the ruins. So, let's get into it. They found Thalan's lair. We'll carry on with what happened next.